mic set up. Thank you. Again, thank you. And this is The Ear Sage, also subtitled known as The Cognition Committee. Waving at your friend from a distance only to get closer and realize that's not your friend. Talking on your phone and wondering where your phone is. Or perhaps you've even gotten in the wrong car before. You see, we've all done this before, and I've done it too. And every time I do, I have some internal voices or some thoughts in my head. I call it the Cognition Committee that kind of assesses the situation, makes a rational judgment so that we can find some solutions. And they're usually pretty good. They're pretty wise and efficient, but sometimes they're tested. There was the Cheerio up the nose incident in 1991 that we really had to swallow some pride on. The skunk showdown of 2009 was where one Cognition Committee member put it, "We have now become a man." But the ear escapade of 2010 is what really put the Cognition Committee on the map. You see, I was walking through my college campus library, minding my own business, not really having to do much, just walking. Most of the committee upstairs was just having a great time out, a break, not really worried about anything. We just had to walk, not pick our nose, don't be stupid in public. It was kind of fine. But then I saw one of my friends sitting at a computer doing their homework. Her name was Jordan. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something that I normally do to people I know to kind of startle them or surprise them. I'm going to go up to Jordan, I'm just going to put my finger right in her ear. Now, I've passed that by the Cognition Committee. Most members think, yeah, this is original, it's fun, it's okay, let's do it. Okay? So I went up to Jordan and I put my ear right in her finger and she did the normal twirl, the normal startlement, like, oh, and she looked right at me. Now, I did say that most people in the Cognition Committee boardroom up there were kind of out at break, but there was one thought that was kind of doing some late work, and he happened to look up at the current event board and he's like, oh, we're poking Jordan in the ear with the finger. Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, she's got blue eyes. Didn't she have brown before? With some contacts things, and a little fat. Oh, her chin. It's always been my dream to walk into a room and just flip over a table in sheer surprise. Well, this Cognition Committee member stood up on the table and simply yelled out in frustration and fear, "That is not Jordan!" And then he flipped over the table that he was standing on. And then the board members started pouring in from the room. People were going to just absolute hysterical. And we had one board member that was off to the side. He was kind of the conspiracy theorist, and he stood up on his soapbox and said, "I have always thought that we were weird, and now doom is upon us. Doom, doom, doom." He was immediately tackled by other thoughts and fell to the floor, and we duct taped his mouth. We couldn't hear that right now. There was also another committee member that was like, "Run, run, run." But the sage among us simply said, "Explain. Explain your reasoning." It was hotly debated, but that's what we did. So I simply looked at her and was like, sorry. Sometimes I put my finger in other people's ears. And the person who was saying in my boardroom was saying, "Run, run, run," was now saying, "And now we're having to explain how we sometimes put our finger into someone else's ear. Who are we? Who are we?" Which immediately sparked a rendition of "Who Am I?" from Les Miserables throughout the entire boardroom. And then after that, there was silence. Because the girl, not Jordan, was speaking back. And she said, "That's okay. Sometimes I do that too." If I thought there was pandemonium before, I drastically underestimated my thinking power. For the boardroom simply just erupted. The man who was down, the conspiracy theorist down on the floor, ripped open the duct tape from his mouth and simply said, "Marry that woman now." The other board members that were singing "Who Am I?" changed their chorus completely into "Do you hear not Jordan sing, sing the song of ear canals?" And then through the door busted open the fortune teller, and he came in with his staff and he said, "And now we can tell our future children that when we saw Mother for the first time, before we even saw her face, we put our finger in her ear. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. And then, silence again. For the girl, not Jordan, was speaking one more time. And she said, actually, would you like to play a little game with me? Because one of my favorite games is I like to sometimes see how many people's ears I can put my finger into in 60 seconds. The fortune teller simply said, who is this wild swan from Lothlorien? We must do it to prove our manhood. All the other committee members simply looked at him and said, yeah. Well, girl, not Jordan, and I simply set our timers for 60 seconds. We pushed the timer and we were off to both sides. She went that way, I went this way. And boy, was it a strong competition. Half the committee members of the boardroom were in the haka. The other half of the committee members in the boardroom were singing wah ooh wah ee ah oh 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 wah ee ah oh oh as we just went, and I did not falter. Ear after ear after ear after ear. I was parkouring off of tables. Ear, doing the splits in the bathroom hallway stalls. Ear. Every person who came out, the wax was building up, and I went back to the spot where Jordan and I were about to meet, and I said, okay, but the wax had built up so big, it was now not just covering my finger, it was long, so long, in fact, it looked like an earwax lightsaber, and I simply slammed it down onto the table where she was, and just like that, like a lightsaber, broke the table in half, and Jordan, as she came running up, girl, not Jordan, as she came running up, looking at that, she just simply said, wow. And I looked at her, and I said, you think that's impressive? Wait till you hear about the skunk showdown of 2009. And my committee members erupted into wondrous applause.